Hi students, in the last class we were actually talking about impact tests, ISOR and CHAPI. Both of them we have discussed, but due to some technical problems we were not able to record our, not able to see the streaming of the CHAPI test and ISOR test. So in this class I will be touching all those things, and also I will be doing a summary of all the things we have done so far in our MT lab. So this is a record session of our MT lab. So welcome to the session. So in this session, I will be talking about the impact test. Basically, some basic theories we have already discussed that. So I will touch up the basic theories, and then I will show you the actual procedure done in the lab, and will show the virtual lab procedure and how to do the calculations. To start with, I have already discussed how this impact test works. Let's say we are discussing about ISO test. So in an ISO test, the initial angle here is 90 degree. So at an angle of 90 degree, this pendulum will be dropped. Due to this height, there will be some energy to this pendulum, which is called the potential energy. And when it is swinging the clockwise, it will reach to this side. It should have been reached till 90 degree almost. But since there is some specimen we are keeping here, some energy is required to break the specimen, and that difference in energy which is used for breaking the specimen will be shown in the dial, which is here. So this dial is actually calibrated based on this angle phi 2. How we calibrate that? That is given by these theories. The initial potential energy is WH1 and finally is WH2. Based on that, we'll do some calculations, and we know that we'll get that VE is equal to WL, L into cos phi 2 minus cos phi 1. So in the case of an ISO test, the maximum energy value is somewhere around 164 to 170 depending upon the instrument. For a CHAPI test, the maximum energy value which will be shown in the dial will be 300 joules mostly. To find WL, we need to do these calculations depending upon whether the test is ISO or CHAPI. You can go into the details. I will also explain it later. Now, coming to the impact velocity, we can also find the impact velocity at which the pendulum is striking the our specimen. How at what velocity the pendulum is striking the specimen. You can also find that. So to do that, we know that we are having a potential energy here, and that is being converted to kinetic energy when it is moving. We will equate that initial potential energy is equal to kinetic energy of impact. WH1 is equal to half mv square. And we will do the substitution. W is equal to mg and h1 is equal to L minus L cos phi 1. Based on that, we will get that V is equal to square root of 2gl into 1 minus cos phi 1. That is the expression for velocity of impact, and for ISO test, phi 1 is equal to 90 degree, and CHAPI test, phi 1 is equal to 140 degree. These are the basic steps, and if you look at the specimen, there are two main differences. Firstly, let's see ISO test. ISO test is a specimen, and we will be actually placing the specimen vertically like this. Like this, we'll be putting it vertically, and the hammer will be striking from this direction. The notch is faced towards the direction from which the hammer is giving the impact. These are the dimensions at which it should be cut, and it is held vertically. In the case of a CHAPI test, we are placing this specimen horizontally like this, and these are the dimensions at which we need to do the cuttings, and specimen dimension is 55 mm, but in the previous case it was 75 mm. The cross section is same, but the cut is different. Here it is a U cut. Earlier it was a V cut. These are given in quadral positions. You can refer that. In this case, the hammer will be striking from this direction. That is, the notch is placed away from the hammer. Now, if you look into the actual scenario, how a test is done. So first of all, we will have to do the dimensions. We have to check the dimensions of the specimen, right? So how we will see first of all how to check the dimensions. You know, in this virtual lab, how these dimensions are taken, you have already done that. In actual lab, how it is done? It is done using vernier calipers. We will measure the dimensions like this using the vernier caliper. Based on the MSR value and VSR value, we can do all these things. If you look closely, this is the MSR value. This is the 0 is coinciding with the 1. So the main scale reading is 1. This is 1 centimeter. So VSR value also you can see here. It will be 0. So it will be around 10 mm. That's how you will be doing vernier caliper reading. Similarly, you have to measure the notch dimensions also. You have to measure the width, depth, and length if you want, and then the notch depth also. You have to do all those things. And the cross section area you will be finding at the place where there is notch. And now going more onto this specimen. This is a specimen. If you look closely, the pendulum is kept in an angle of 140 degree here, so it's a setup for Charpy test. So in Charpy test, this is kept at 140 degree. This fixed to the support at 140 degree. This is a actual pendulum part, which is swinging. And there you can see some type of a hammer, and that hammer is called forming hammer. Sorry, that hammer is ball and pen hammer. This is forming hammer. This is we use as ISO. So in Charpy we are using a ball pen type hammer, and that is fixed here. That hammer will be striking the specimen which is kept over here. And this is the specimen, and you can see that it is given a U cut, and it will be placed over here horizontally with the notch placing facing away from the hammer. That is how the specimen should be placed. And as you know, initially we will have to measure the friction loss in the machine. So we are removing that specimen for the time being. I mean, we are placing this dial to 0. Its the maximum value is 168 for ISO and 300 for this specimen for Charpy. We need to measure the friction loss of this specimen. Friction loss is basically happening due to bearing loss and all those losses. And you can see this is one division is equal to 2 joules. Each division is 2 joules. That's how we will take the reading. To start with, we need to do the friction loss test. So we will be releasing this without any specimen put over there. So we will remove the lock, and we are releasing. You can see we have released that, and the reading is 0. That means the friction loss for this specimen is 0. We already done these steps in virtual. I'll just show the steps later. Now once the friction loss test is done, we need to repeat the test with actual specimen. Let's say it's a mild steel trial 1 we are doing. So and again the lock is the pendulum is kept at 140 degree, and now we are placing our specimen over here. The specimen is being placed over there with the notch facing away from the impact of hammer, direction of impact. The hammer will be giving the impact from this direction. A notch is placed away from that, and it is placed horizontally. And the machine is fixed, the pendulum is fixed at 140 degree. We are releasing the lock, and once you pull this lever, you are pulling that, yes, it will break the specimen. To break the some energy is utilized, and that energy is 1, 2, 3 divisions into 2 joules. Each division is 2 joules. That is 6 joules is the reading for this test. So we have to note down the value. So that is the experimental setup for an Charpy test. Similarly, if you see how an ISO test is done, this is the test setup for ISO test. The initial angle where the machine is kept is 90 degree. That is the main difference you can see. Also, there are some difference in the hammer we use. If you look inside that, if you see, this is the forming hammer that is used. This was the ball pen hammer we use for Charpy. So here we are using forming hammer for ISO test. That is the difference. And there are 2 dials as you have seen. Inside dial is for ISO, outside dial is for Charpy. We have used the outside dial earlier. Now we will be using the inside dial for ISO test. For inside direct 0, here maximum value is 168. So we'll keep the instrument over here. Here also we need to repeat the friction loss test first. So first we need to do the experiment without placing the specimen. So we are doing the friction loss test here for ISO. As you can see, there are no specimen over here. Now we are doing the experiment without the specimen for friction loss. Again, we have got 0 as the reading. That means there are no friction loss for this specimen, for this instrument, impact testing machine. Now we will keep the dial to the maximum value, that is 168 for this specimen. In our college, we got 170 as the maximum value for ISO. Please note that point. In our college, the GC Wayanad, our maximum reading is 170 joules. Now, you can see the specimen. The cuts are made as per the standards, and it is being placed at the vertically with the notch placing to the impact of hammer, the direction of impact of hammer. We are putting the specimen there. This is simply support, and then we are tightening those using the Allen screws and all. And once you done the fixing of the specimen, we will do the experiment. You can see the notch is facing towards this direction, that is the direction of impact. Direction from where the pendulum is coming. So this is the log. We are releasing the log. This kept at angle 90 degree. Remember, we are releasing the pendulum. Once you release, it will break. You can see here. Yeah. With the impact, the specimen is broken. You can note the reading here. You have to note the inside dial. 30, 1, 2. 30 plus 2 into 2. That is 34 is the reading you will get as the impact value ISO in this test. So those are the basic steps you have done. Now coming to virtual lab. How we do this in a virtual lab? You can see. In the case of a virtual lab, if you go to the first step of a Charpy test, you can see that there are some theories mentioned over here. And in the theory, there are so many parts. You should read all those things. Those dimensions are given. I'll come again to this theory part later. So this is the first test we will be doing. First we will be doing the friction loss test, which we need to do only once for an instrument. So we will be doing this test step first, even before actually measuring the dimensions, because measuring the dimensions of the specimen we need to do in 3 trials. So we will release the specimen. We need to click here for friction loss. Click here. Syncing has happened. And we got the reading as 1 joule. So the energy loss due to friction for this instrument is 1 joule. Earlier in the video shown, it was 0. Now once we know this 1 joule, we need to note this in our dial gauge, observation column. So in observation column, we know that initial energy of the hammer is 300 joules. And the loss of energy due to friction EF is equal to 1 joule. That is what we had done just now for the instrument. So we have noted down that. We don't need this reading now. Okay, now we need to find the length, breadth, depth of the trial 1 specimen. Some cast iron, mild steel, whatever. Actually, this mild steel. So we have taken we have selected our material. And these are the dimensions of the material. Actually, you should have measured this using vernier caliper. I have shown the steps to you already. So we measured the dimensions using vernier caliper, and we got these dimensions. Assume that we got these dimensions, and these dimensions are directly given in the case of a virtual lab. So we need to note down these values. Length is 10.56. This is mild steel. 59.56. And 9.4, 9.42, 0.5. 9.4, 9.42, 5. That is the reading of. To close stop the video. I haven't stopped the video. So these are the readings we got for the trial one of mild steel. Now, if you go to the details, of the test, actually, yeah, here. These are the readings we got. Now, once you got this, you need to proceed with the test. So while proceeding, you can see that we need to place the specimen over here. We had already done the friction loss test. Now we need to place the specimen over here. We need to click that, and we need to place the specimen. You have seen how this specimen was placed in the video. We need to place the specimen here. Some error this happened, so we need to place the specimen. You need to click here. You need to click here, and you need to place this specimen over here. Some error is happening. So once the specimen is here, placed over here, you need to repeat the test. While placing you should be doing some exactly like this, otherwise it's not moving. Sometimes this error happens. You need to place it exactly over there. So once it is placed, you can actually repeat a step here then. You take an assessment and you're done. I need to click the next button. So once it is clicked, next button is clicked. We need to. I know I haven't changed the dimensions. So okay, this for practice. Okay, you need to click here to do the test. You'll be actually doing the test. You can see that the specimen was already put here. Once you click this, the specimen is baking, and you need to note down the reading. The reading is 48 joules for Chappie test of a mild steel. Please note that it is 48 joules. 48 joules we need to note in the table. Table for mild steel. You can see that the loss of energy due to friction is 1 joule, which already entered. Now we need to enter total loss of energy. That is the value we got just from this trial. So that is 38. Now suppose I'm making these repetition. I don't want to do all this again. So assume that all the readings were same, all the dimensions were same, and I got some readings over here, and I got all the dimensions, and I got some reading 38 and next 40 and 42. Similarly for cast iron, we'll be getting somewhat lesser value. Let's say this was around 32, 28, and some 30. Let's assume for the time being. We got all the values now. Now, once we get the values, we need to find we need to do the calculations. First of all, we need to find the cross-section area, which is B into D minus D. Once you get that, you need to take that value to this table, and you need to divide this area cross-section from the ET minus EF value. That is 32 minus 1 divided by area. You will get the impact strength of the specimen. So we will get for all the trials, we will get the impact value and the impact strength. You need to take the average of these three values, and you need to note down in this table. So we got these values for cast iron and mild steel. And these are the impact strength values or average impact strength values of the three trials of both specimen. Once you have done that, you need to calculate the WL. To calculate WL, we know that the angle of fall for a Chappie test is 140 degree, and phi2 for maximum energy loss case is 0 degree, and maximum energy loss for that instrument is 300 joules. So you have to substitute all those values in the above equation, and you will get the WL is 169.87. And if you see, in case of ISO test also, if you do some calculations, WL will come like that only. Since this was 164, if it is 169, then it is almost same. Mostly it is WL will be the maximum reading on the dial, maximum reading of ISO test. It will be somewhat around that value. Please check that. See, so if I have somewhat variation, you should check that. Actually, you can find the WL using the weight W of the pendulum and length of the pendulum. If you know both those values, you can directly multiply W interval. But still, this actually gives a more accurate method because it's directly relating to the dial readings. But the second thing is maybe some minor variations may be there. W interval. You can also check the value of WL using multiplying W and L. Now, once you got the WL value, you need to find the impact value for different angles. For that, you need to substitute in this equation, that is WL cos theta, this impact angle, minus cos 40 you need to do, and this will be the angle over here. This will be the impact value over here. For different angles, you need to find the impact value. WL cos 0 minus cos 40, WL into cos 10 minus cos 140, WL into cos 20 minus cos 140, like that you have to do. So once you have got all those values, you have to draw this graph, this blue line you have to draw. You have to draw impact value versus impact angle, and once you get this curve, you can find the impact angle from this impact values. These are the impact value of cast iron and mild steel. So mark this impact value or impact energy. We can call both the names. Mark this impact values of cast iron and mild steel in this graph, and then get the corresponding impact angle. That's how you will find the impact angle from the graph. You can also find the impact angle using this equation. So this some error, actually should be WL cos phi 2 minus minus 140 should be there. This were actually test for a ISO test. See, this was an ISO test, you can find like that. So using this equation, so you can find the ISO, you can find the impact angle. You can use the equation also, you can use the graph also. These steps are similar for an ISO test and a Charpy test, but in ISO test, our maximum value is 164 or 168 or 170 in the case of our instrument at college. Depends. For virtual lab instrument, it was 164. In the video shown, it was 168. And in our lab, GCE Wayanad lab, our MTLab value is 160 for 170. It depends on the instrument. So you have to draw this graph and you have to get this impact value. You can also get from the equations. So you have to take down these values to result, and you have to write down those neatly. Also, you need to write 2-3 sample calculations. So you need to write. That is about observation chart. Coming more to the theory to close this down. So to talk about more about theory, once you break the specimen, you can got some understandings to do. You will get the impact value, impact strength, and also impact angle you will get. In addition to that, you can also note some patterns in the failure. I have shown in this presentation. The last slide, you can see that the breaking pattern is different for a brittle material and a ductile material. This is how the brittle material will be the pattern or crystalline pattern of a brittle material. This is how brittle material will be looking like at the end of the test. So there are some difference, right? Based on the that difference also, we can actually tell whether the material is a brittle or ductile. So you can see this is a ductile fracture area, this is a brittle fracture area, and there are some contractions, expansions happening. And also there are some regions: unstable fracture region, shear lip region, final fracture region, fracture initiation region. Based on that, we can find the percentage shear area. You can study more about the fracture part. One interesting thing to note in this test is that for a brittle fracture, the impact energy will be low. For a ductile fracture, the impact energy will be high. So basically, we have tested two specimens, that is cast iron and mild steel. Whereas cast iron is more brittle and mild steel is more ductile material. You can see from any trial that the readings of mild steel will be higher than that of cast iron. That's one good observation you can make from this test. See, if you were doing this in a lab, you can see that this thing, temperature is higher for ductile fracture. For brittle fracture, the temperature is lower. This temperature is that the temperature that will be absorbed by the specimen during this energy transfer. That means once the test is done, if you touch the ductile specimen, it will be really warm. It will be really heated. But if this was a cast iron specimen, this won't be that much, it will be normal only. Just by touching also you can tell whether it is a brittle material or ductile material. It is too warm, then it is ductile, and it is not, it is brittle. If somewhat just small temperature rise on, then it is somewhat in the between region. So you can note all those things. So this is some summary of all the tests. See, these are the main difference in ISO test. You need to keep like this. In the Charpy test, you need to keep it horizontally, and the impact value, impact angles, and all those you should note down. This is all I want to tell about ISO and Charpy test. You can ask me more doubts. So myself Nijesh, you can ask me more doubts if you have, and you also continue with the Charpy test calculations. And thank you. I hope this video will be helpful to you. I'll to say thank you.